Most board games don't get played twice. When I give a designer feedback about their game that the process of learning is too difficult compared to the weight of the gaming experience, I'm often told by the designers that players tend to use their first game as a learning experience and then really enjoy it on their second playthrough. While this is usually valid, I think it's a bad mentality for game design. I'm Mondo Davis, I'm the senior developer of hobby games at The Op, and I'm here to help you with your board game design. In today's board game landscape, any game that is published is in direct competition with thousands of other games at a given time. In order for a game to be successful, it has to provide a unique gaming experience that is, subjectively of course, better than other games that offer a similar experience. If you're making a push your luck card flipping game, it's in competition with Ink and Gold and Flip 7 and many others. In order for it to stand out, a significant portion of people who enjoy those types of games have to prefer it to those other experiences. Now, I don't have stats to back this up, but I imagine that most games are only played once by an individual player. So for your game to hit, that first playthrough becomes the most important factor in the projection of your game's success in the market. What that means is that your barrier to entry needs to be as low as possible to ensure that the maximum number of people in your target audience can enjoy it on their first gameplay. For that to be true, players have to be able to grasp the core gameplay concepts and feel like they're playing the game effectively somewhere in the middle of the game. If a player spends an entire game trying to understand how to play the game and finally grasps it on the last turn, then they've just spent the whole game playing inefficiently and missing out on those feel-good moments. As a game designer, it's important to create a gameplay experience that is intuitive and familiar enough while still prioritizing the novelty of the experience for players to have that aha moment as early as possible. So let's talk about how to do that. First of all, that concept of the aha moment is very important in this conversation. This term refers to the point at which a player understands the system of gameplay for the first time. There's a sense of enlightenment and awareness that comes when all of the pieces come together in your mind and you can not only understand how to play the game, but the strategy to win the game and the amalgamation of the factors that drive the decisions that you make. It's a very tangible thing that we see happen every time someone learns a game. It's possible for a player to not have that moment, which would often mean that they get through the entire game still not fully understanding how the game works or why they made the choices that they made. If you're playtesting your game and your players aren't arriving at that reaction of, oh, now I get it, you might need to rework some aspects of your rule set or the way you teach the game. To get to that aha moment as quickly as possible should be a goal for every game design, because again, the quicker your players grasp it, the more time they spend in-game understanding what they're doing and making informed decisions. That will lead to more feel-good moments and an overall more positive experience. And once the game is on the market, players can tap into the fun more quickly, which means your game will do better. So let's look at a few ways to make that happen. The first consideration is the contrast between novel ideas in your game design and established mechanics or systems that players have seen before. There's a Jeffrey Ingelston quote that I couldn't find, so if you know where to find it, let me know in the comments. But it essentially says that there have been studies that conclude that the human mind can only balance a limited number of new concepts when learning something like a board game. I've seen designs where the creators try and introduce 3 or 4 or more new systems that have never been seen before in a game. And while that's very fun design space, it means that the average gamer will struggle to learn all of the new systems that they haven't seen before. It's important to maintain a balance between established mechanical concepts and new mechanics or systems that you want to introduce. A good example is King Domino. When I first played it, it was the first time I had seen that rank order drafting system in a game. That was new to me, although I don't know it was new to the industry, but the tile laying and the scoring systems made sense because they reflected other systems that I had seen before. And while I had to learn the details of those systems, the concepts were already there from my past experience, so it was relatively easy to focus on how that new drafting system worked without having to learn a brand new system for the placement and the scoring. This is what you want your design to do. Present something new that excites gamers while keeping it contained in a package of familiar concepts that don't complicate the learning process. You have to maintain that balance or you will lose your players. The next step to make your games easier to learn on that first playthrough is thematic integration. Game rules are easier to learn if they reflect real-world context in which they're set. If you have a buy low, sell high stock system in your game that reflects the real world stock market, your game theme can help facilitate the learning process of that system if the player makes the connection between your mechanism and the stock market in real life. If I'm buying and selling shares of a company inside of a game, I don't have to learn how that works because of my real world experience. But if the theme is about something entirely unrelated to economics and business, that may cause interference that slows down the learning process. Thematic integration also helps by allowing players to use their intuition to answer their own questions or fill in the gaps of their understanding, if the mechanics reflect the real-world thematic elements that they represent. In our game Fountains, scoring icons on tiles that you place only count if they have water being fed into them from a jet icon. In the real world, water flows down and laterally and doesn't flow uphill, so this is reflected in the game mechanic, which allows players to draw correct conclusions about how that system works based on their real world experience. Integrating your theme into the mechanics makes your game easier to learn and provides quicker access to comprehension for your new players. It's time to pause and remind you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I really appreciate the engagement and hope to make this channel more helpful to as many folks as possible, so thank you for being here. The last thing that we'll talk about here is the importance of reduction design. As a designer, it is fun to add concepts to your game. It's also common to reach points in your process where you need to add rules to solve for edge cases or exceptions to other rules. The results can very easily be a complicated and robust rule set that is hard to learn and retain. As a developer, my main focus is always to take out as much as I possibly can from any game that comes across my desk. I don't mean that I'm removing things just for the sake of removing things, but I'm always on the lookout for extraneous mechanisms or thematic elements that slow down the learning process and gameplay and take away from that core mechanical structure and concept that's fun and engaging. This is an important approach that I think designers should adopt. Listening to your playtesters, focusing on where the pain points are and what can be done to remove them, and going after your game with a scalpel, so to speak, is essential in improving your gameplay experience and bringing about those aha moments more quickly. The term we use is kill your darlings, which can be hard to do, but the more you remove, the easier it is to zero in and accentuate the best parts of your game, creating a more fluid and intuitive gaming experience and making it easier to learn and enjoy on that first play. So if you're observing playtesters struggle through their first gameplay and justifying it by saying that people really enjoy the game the second time they play, you probably need to make some changes. Most games only get played once, if that, so for your game to be successful, you need to make it as easy as possible for your players to enjoy themselves on that first playthrough. It can be hard to make those big changes, especially because we love our designs as much as we do, but if you want your game to take off, you have to meet your players where they're at. So tell me in the comments what you think, or if you've seen any successes or failures in this regard, or if you have a design that you're working on and excited about. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your game design.